Welcome to How Did You Get Here podcast, the podcast that finds out exactly how successful and inspirational people got to where they are today. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with our latest content. Now, don't we have an absolute treat for you today? I'm sure you've all heard of the amazing TV show, The Apprentice, and we have 2017 winner, Apprentice winner, James White. So welcome to the show. Lovely to meet you, James.
Lovely to meet you too. And I know we've been trying to get this one done for a while, Christmas and all that. You've been on holiday for, best part of a month. So it's finally happening. So I'm excited to be here. And, thanks for sort of bringing me down as well.
Pleasure. Now, obviously, before we get into the obvious questions of The Apprentice, first of all, I kind of wanted to find out a little bit more about where your drive started from in terms of wanting to be an entrepreneur. Did it start from a really young age, and where did it go from there? It did start from a young age. My dad was actually a businessman himself. Back when he was in his 20s, 30s, he was very successful. His kind of previous life was, he had a 10-bedroom house, he had everything. So I've got 3 older siblings, and they all grew up with that lifestyle. Yeah. He then got divorced, met my mum, and at the same time, his business went completely under. So although I didn't have that lifestyle, I grew up with a dad who had that. So I know of what it's like to be business-minded. So I grew up in Scotland, actually, and I was there until I was 12. Only a very humble upbringing, really. We lived in a kind of just a council house in Irvine, and anyone that knows Irvine in Scotland, it's not the nicest of places. It's literally a concrete council estate. So I grew up there, and I think that even though my dad never bounced back in terms of the business side of things, I always kind of had that motivation and drive from him to kind of aspire to be the best version of myself. Yeah. So my first probably business venture was when I was 12, and I like a lot of people, I set up a car washing business in my local village that I lived in. I'd moved to England at this point in Essex, so I set up a car washing business, and within about a couple of months I had 2 of my mates working with me, and we were servicing 20, 30 cars on a weekend, and we were earning pretty good money for 12-year-old lads. That's amazing.
And then I actually saved that money, and then I used to go to Turkey every year with my mum and dad. And when I was in Turkey, I paid to have, so I used some of my money to pay to take an extra suitcase that was empty. And when I went over there, anyone that knows Turkey, it's home of like the snides, the fakes, right? Yeah. So I had loads of mates, so I'd fill my suitcase up with tracksuits, t-shirts, whatever I could get in. And then I'd come back, I'd take this, a bit like a Del Boy, really. I took it around the local parks and schools, and I was like opening my case, selling t-shirts and all this kind of. So I was only 13 at the time. And I'd done that literally every year for 4 years, and that was saved up my money from my car wash, and then done that, and then I kind of quadrupled my money from the car wash. So I kind of always, from a young age, was very much more interested in. I was always quite academic at school as well, but I was much more interested in the kind of outside of school, how I could, earn myself some extra money than I was probably from the school system.
Yeah. Wow. That is. That's a lot of drive to have at such a young age.
Yeah, I just felt normal. I just felt like I just enjoyed doing it. It wasn't like something that was forced. I just, getting up on the weekends and doing that, and then, I'd clock off my car wash at about 3 o'clock, and then I'd go down Riley's, the local snooker bar, and play some snooker, hustle a few people, and then.
Whereabouts did you live in Essex?
So in Essex, I grew up sort of my teenage years was in Colchester.
Okay.
But there was a little village outside of Colchester, actually by Essex University. It was on the other side of the village, and it was just a beautiful place to live, to be honest, quite picturesque, much different to where I was in Scotland. Yeah. And yes, I was there until I went to university, so I was there for about 6 or 7 years. Oh, okay. But the funniest thing is, when I was 12, I had a full Scottish accent. And then I only lived in Essex until I was 18, so 6 years. Yeah. But those 6 years stuck with me more than any other place. I mean, I've been in Birmingham now for 13 years, and my accent is probably still much more southern than it is from either Scotland or the Midlands.
Yeah, I recognise the Essex accent straight away, because I lived there for a while.
Oh, nice. Whereabouts?
Loughton.
Oh, I know, Loughton and Chigwell and
Faces, Gants
that's where Lord Sugar's office is in Loughton.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so
is that in the old Media 10 building?
I don't know what the old building was, but it's called Amshold, the building. It's literally got a big sign that AMS Hold, and it's Loughton. It's like it's just on there's like a crossroad with traffic lights. It's basically
it's on the high street.
On the high street,
yeah, exactly. Where New Bar used to be, just above that.
Yeah.
I know what that is.
So that's his main office.
No way.
So quick question: how many times did you get told off in that building?
Oh, many.
I'm sure we'll get onto that in a minute.
Every month. every month. You know, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Most months. Sometimes 2 times a month.
Fantastic.
And I get a call, on a Tuesday, James, you need to come down now. Right. Okay. And it's a long drive to ponder your thoughts. And
then lick your wounds on the way back up.
So that brings us nicely on to obviously The Apprentice. So obviously The Apprentice is airing at the moment.
Yeah.
Are you watching it?
No. I've not seen it.
Oh, okay.
I've spoke to a few of the contestants, but to be honest, I've been away for the last 2. It's usually on in September, October.
Yeah.
And January is, for probably most businesses, straight after Christmas, is a busy period. So the first part of January, I was extremely busy. And then the last part of January, I took 2 weeks. I was away. And I think we're on, is it week 5 or 6 now, is it? Or...
It is, yeah.
So I've to be fair, I've seen sort of memes popping around. I saw something about penguins in the Arctic, and there was a spelling mistake as well as there's no penguins in the Arctic. But have you been watching it?
I've seen bits and pieces of it. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
It's not my thing.
No. So
no offense.
Do you know what? Since I've been on it, I've almost stopped watching it. Obviously, it was a great show. I used to love it before I went on it. But I feel like once you've been on it, it kind of loses just a little bit of that magic after, because I kind of know everything.
Yeah.
And I've just stopped watching it. I don't really know why. I didn't sort of say to myself, right, I'm never watching it again. I just naturally like I've just stopped watching it.
I guess now you've seen behind the curtain, you know how it works, and
it's like. Give you an example. In reference of what I just said, the Arctic Saviour. They spelt Arctic wrong, didn't they? They put Arctic rather than Arctic.
Yeah.
Now, in any normal situation, it would never happen because you have a Google, you have spelling mistakes, you check everything.
Yeah.
But in that, you don't have that. Right. So it's it's an easy mistake to make, to be honest. Under pressure, Arctic.
Yeah.
I mean, they spelled saviour right, which is that's the word that you probably get wrong. Isn't it?
Absolutely.
So there's at least you got the American spelling, our spelling, and it's just IOUs. It's always a confusing one, right?
Yeah.
So, but I haven't caught up with it much this season.
Yeah. Do you think it's just one of those things where you've grown past that now?
Yeah. It's not even I want to put myself as you're kind of like you're further than that, but it's just more. I think because I just know of how they articulate the whole situation, and it's not scripted. It isn't scripted, but it's heavily controlled.
Right.
So that's where things go wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not. There's no script in it whatsoever.
Okay.
I mean, because I've seen loads of press stories recently saying it's scripted, or like these proof it's scripted. It's really not scripted.
Yeah.
But it is controlled. Like you get given a dossier of rules,
right,
and you follow the rules basically. So give another example. You see people go into a shop. The film crew are obviously already in the shop.
Yeah.
So they have to go in, ask permission to go in that shop. So it's all that kind of, stop-starting situation. So it doesn't seem... But when it runs on TV, it's like it's just happy you run from shop to shop to shop. I mean, that's 10 hours. 4 shops, your time's up.
So, obviously, there's this whole thing in the show where they wake you up at 5 a.m. and you've got 20 minutes to get ready.
Yeah.
Does that really happen?
I thought it was 4 a.m, but...
Well, 4 a.m.
Felt like it.
Is that what it is?
Do you know what happens? So you get a phone call and they say the cars will be outside in 20 minutes or half an hour. That's absolutely true. So the cars are outside. You're not necessarily in the cars in 20 minutes, but it is a very hectic morning. I think so what happens is you basically wake up, but a lot of the girls are preempted. They've kind of got up, done their hair and makeup, gone back to bed.
Right.
So that when they wake up, they've basically just got to get dressed.
Yeah.
And then and then when you get dressed, you go downstairs. You then get mic'd up because obviously everyone's wearing a mic. They have to feed you, so they got some caterers come in with bacon butties and sausage butties and whatever else. Porridge, for the vegans. Vegan porridge. But yeah, so it is tight. I mean, you probably from 5 o'clock, you're probably out about 5:40.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, what's the most difficult part of the process, do you think?
I feel like it differs from person to person. I think like most people would say probably just being away from all their comforts like home, friends, family. I mean, I loved that part, to be honest. It was great. It put me away again. It was literally like tranquil in the evenings. It was so nice. No phones, so no one could get in contact. I just remember just sort of most nights I would just sit in my room, and I had one of the best beds because I had a big, huge window, and like I was just literally gazing out the window most evenings. And I never do that because I'm always so busy.
Yeah.
But I think the house can get, especially at the start, because although you live in a mansion with 25 people in it isn't a mansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's,
imagine.
It's literally like, you're sharing a flat with 4 people with 1 bedroom.
Wow.
So it gets quite heated at times, and I think a lot of people found it quite difficult to snap out of the kind of tension from I can't say the episode, but the task,
Yeah.
The tension from the task to then actually just being back to normal in the house, because it's one of the things where if someone is taking the emotion back, whereas with me, I'm quite okay. That was business, no emotion. When you get back, it's it's just business.
Yeah, of course.
But I think a lot of people, there was a few arguments back in the house and all this kind of stuff, but that's probably what people struggle with, and just the home. A lot of people had children, being away from their kids. I didn't. I had a dog, a beagle, but he runs me riot. So again, it was
a nice break.
It was a nice break. But yeah, that's probably the difficult things.
Yeah.
So you spent all this time in a house with all these people. Was it quite soon on when you realised that I've got to watch out for this person? They're really good. Did you get a lie of the land really soon, or did it take a while?
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember really. I think that I knew who was good. I knew so I was obviously a joint winner with Sarah. Sarah was just so level-headed, mature, lovely, just knew her stuff as well. I knew she was a strong candidate. There was a couple of other people I thought were strong candidates as well. But I think the other candidates quickly realised as well who the strong candidates are. And I never really got too much fuss. I think I remember when I was in the boardroom with Lord Sugar, he most weeks would come to me and ask me personally what I thought about the task, because I'd always just give a straight answer.
Yeah.
And I'd never be one to sort of scream or shout or, throw someone under the bus for the sake of it. If something's gone wrong, hold your hands up. So I feel like people put me on a sort of high pedestal quite quickly as well.
Yeah.
And that was kind of seen, I think I was picked as sub-team leader 7 of the 10 tasks.
Wow, okay.
And 2 of the other ones, I was PM. So I think I only got 1 week off. I didn't get much break or respite, to be honest. But the problem is, when you're sub-team leader, if you lose, they're the ones that usually get gone.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's what I'd probably say for that.
And that's quite an achievement to last that long when you've got that much pressure being put on you every single time.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it is a pressure cooker, but I feel like you know what you're getting yourself in for.
Yeah.
But actually, you don't. You feel like you're going in for it. You don't. You know what you're getting yourself in for a business show, but you don't prepare yourself for how it is to film a business show. Mm-hmm. So the camera crew, the stop and the starting, the interviewing. I remember on one week, I just knew we'd lost a task, and they were asking me questions after, at the end of the task, because they wanted to get my view, which they're going to use this. And I said, look, I know we've lost a task. And they're like, no, but what if you? I said, I know we've lost a task. So you're asking me a pointless question. We literally, this has happened. We've lost a task.
Yeah.
And I remember that week, I just gave them nothing they wanted. They wanted me to go down a route, and I was like, no, I'm not having it, because I was pretty furious that week, to be honest. So,
what's the most fun and memorable kind of moment, do you reckon?
So the most fun and memorable moment, the most memorable moment for me was
So we had week 7. There was a task which was, it was filming a car advert, and we had, obviously you get the dossier, the rule book, and you get given 5 locations that you can go to. So we wanted to originally go to this like new house and estate, but unfortunately we didn't get it. The other team picked it just before us, so you can only one team can go there. So we had to go with option 2. And Elizabeth, who was on my year, said to me, "Oh, there's a little kind of village here. It looks quite quaint." I was like, "All right, perfect. So, it looks like a nice little village." We picked that, but it wasn't a village. It was a medieval, like Saxon village that they had just done for like, you just go there to, it's like one they've built just so people can go there to experience it. But it was about the size of this office outside, and we had to drive a car advert around it, and there was chickens running all over the place. There was like, at one point they positioned me to do an interview, and there was like a guy being hung behind me.
Oh no!
I think it was brilliant, to be fair, because I never knew at the time. But then when I saw it, watched it back, it was me getting interviewed, and it was a sinking task from the moment we realised where we were. But that was quite a memorable moment. Then the best moment was the week after. So I was project manager that week, and then I managed to obviously get through the boardroom. And then the next week was a dog task, and I put myself as project manager again because I thought, this is my task. I shouldn't have gone the week before, really. Advertising, it's not really my, cup of tea. Week after was dog task, like, right, I've got 3 dogs, that's my cup of tea. So I went there and we smashed that one. Then it was week 8, and obviously after week 10, you're at the interview. So I thought, I've had it come through strong right at the end. So, yeah.
Was there ever a time when you thought about quitting? And if you did, what did you do to overcome it?
I never thought about quitting. There was a couple of times where I thought I was going to get fired. Well, I was kind of thinking like, I didn't think I was going to get fired, but I was very close. It was like one of those ones. His finger was, hanging around somewhere, and I was like hiding, little duck there. So that's probably as close. And the closest that was that week after the car advert. Yeah. But I managed to just escape that one. So, but no, I didn't quit.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, it is amazing because you won. So
yeah, exactly.
That's the main thing. So what would you say you learnt the most from this experience?
The things I learnt the most.
What was your takeaway? Obviously, other than winning.
That's a good question, that one. What was my takeaway? I feel like I had loads of takeaways. I mean, I met some incredible people in there, from all different backgrounds, some were incredibly successful. Even if they're made to look like Wallies on TV, some of them had amazing businesses and have gone on to continue to have amazing businesses. What was my biggest takeaway? There was just so many. I'm thinking of just like one. I think always never shy away was a big one. Yeah. Because the people that kind of tried to kind of go under the radar for a bit, they're never going under the radar. Like they see everything. So I think like it kind of promoted me to think always put yourself outside your comfort zone as well. Because there was a few tasks there that I wasn't kind of quite used to. Yeah. And it was kind of like a baptism of fire. I had to get stuck straight into that. So I think they're probably some big ones. Like and just never doubt yourself. Actually, always be confident. Because when you go in there, you're thinking. You're here with 20 other people. Well, what are these people? What background? They all seem really successful. All that kind of stuff. Just never doubt yourself, because if you're confident in yourself, I feel like you'll always be successful.
100%. I definitely think it comes through, especially when you're going into a situation where you're competing with loads of other people. You have to back yourself in that situation.
Of course.
You got no other option. And obviously after winning, what's it been like for you? Because obviously it's just gone now.
Yeah. So after winning, obviously for the first 3 years I was with Lord Sugar. So we were business partners. A year ago, or a year and a half ago now, we acquired back his shares of the business. So the first 3 years was a real learning experience. We'd never run a business. Me and my directors, my business partners now, we'd just been very successful recruiters. So the difference is we work for big companies and we're basically the front office, the sales side of things. Yeah. Actually setting a business and
seeing how everything connects is quite a difficult thing. I always give this sort of analogy that, we were a small business, so one day I was out meeting clients doing big deals, the next day I was like Costco buying toilet roll and whatever else the operas need.
We've all been there, James.
Yeah, exactly.
We've all been there.
And people don't realise that is, that's just what you have to do. And I think the other thing as well was, especially at the start, everyone automatically assumes that you're a millionaire. Like, you win the Apprentice, you're a millionaire, like literally straight away. And I was very successful before I went on to the Apprentice, and I was earning a lot of money. And when I won the Apprentice, I never had so little money, because you're taking, pennies out of the business really just to keep yourself afloat.
Yeah.
And, you're trying to actually, cut out a business. And I spent a lot of time wasting with clients that were just wanting to speak to us because of the association with Lord Sugar, and it was just terrible business. So for the first year, 18 months, it took us that point to find out who our core clients were really, and who were going to be, clients that we continue to work with. After that point, we got to, obviously then we hit COVID, and we just decided that it was the right time to separate. I had some key people that had been with me since day one, and I'd always promised them an opportunity to buy into the business. And while we were kind of 50-50, there was no opportunity to buy into the business. No. So as soon as they left, we made some 25% of the business available to the two directors that had been there since day one. And then for the year after that, business boomed. Nice. Which was good. Yeah. Didn't see that one coming. And so we had a really good year, which is great. We had a difficult time as well. I remember at one point where my whole business was the wrong staff, and this was early on. I looked it around. I said, "We've just got the wrong staff here." Not because they were bad people, just the wrong staff for us. So we literally came in one day, and we were like, we literally got rid of 70% of the staff, which was quite a difficult thing, because we were like, back down to 5 people now. And then over the course of the last 18 months, 2 years, we've rebuilt that back up. And, we're back up to, in the recruitment now, like 20 people. And then since then, we've also set up another business now as well. So we set up a tax business, helping people that travel for work claim back taxes from HMRC. We set that up in August. We've got 18 staff in that.
Wow.
In January, we done 100,000 net profit in that. Considering that business was set up in August, we've flown with that one.
Yeah.
And then I've also got a skincare clinic now, which I was never into skincare, but I've got a skincare clinic in Harborne. So we do aesthetics in there. So I feel like I stayed with Lord Sugar for 3 years. It kept me grounded. I learned a lot. I learned what not to do, made some mistakes. I had him to kind of help me through them. I had the investment to help me through them. And then after that, I was just ready, because I feel like one of the things that, and you can see why, because an investor probably would, Lord Sugar would put 250 grand in, and he wants you to work almost exclusively in your own business, which does make sense, right? His money's tied into there. Whereas I am an ideas person, and I like multiple businesses, and that's shown. I've gone and set up a business only last year in August, and as I said, 18 staff. We claimed back 450 grand from HMRC last month, which was
well done. That's amazing.
Yeah, HMRC don't like us, but everyone else does. It's just it run its course. I feel so happy these days. Everyone in my company's happy. Our attrition is zero. Like honestly, in the last year, we haven't had people leave. Like, no one's left. But who would when the people are doing well? There's a good culture in the office.
Absolutely.
People are having success stories. It's just, it's a good time.
Yeah.
So touching on culture for a second. So how do you instill a great culture in a business?
Well, it's got to be top down, hasn't it? Like, you have to be. It's your ethos. And I think because me and then Jim, my other director Matt, we are like, essentially we're brothers, right? Went to university together. We've been through everything together, the highs, the lows, like honestly, like lows. At points where we had a recruitment business, we're thinking this ain't gonna work. Like we're sort of touching on to like burning out here.
So we've got such a great relationship together. Whenever people join what we call the family, and all of the businesses kind of all know each other. Everyone works very closely together. It's everyone's friends. We're very approachable. We do a lot of social things together. We give people the freedom, the flexibility. Everyone. Give you an example. When people do well, and we've all got team WhatsApp groups. Everyone is there saying yes, come on, about everyone else. There's no kind of like bitter rivalry. And with sales, you want a little bit of that kind of banter, but it's all like with a good team spirit in.
Great.
And I think, if someone come into our office and seen the culture, it is fantastic. Like, we've got a great culture in there.
That's amazing.
But we didn't at the start. We've gone through times where I said where the culture just was wrong. It just something just didn't quite sit right, and we had to take a long, hard look, take it back, rebuild it, and for once we've actually got a brilliant culture.
That's impressive. That's it. Yeah. And massive respect to you, because you've clearly noticed that and done something about it and gone and fixed that. And even at the risk of, you've had to scale all the way back to do it again. But I think also that comes from a basis where I think you've scaled yourself from, if we go back to the beginning of this, where we were talking about, your background, and you've started from zero and you've worked your way up. You've been through a stage where you've had nothing, and then you've had amazing results.
Yeah.
And I think for you, just from what I'm understanding, there's no fear there in terms of, what it's like to have nothing.
Yeah.
You know what it's like to have everything.
There's no fear.
And you're like, well, if it means I've got to go back to square one to get it right, then I'm going to do it. And I love that drive. That's amazing.
There's literally no fear, and no fear at all. And the other thing is, I think sometimes when people are maybe not cut out to work a lot or own their own business, a lot of the time it's panic that, if it doesn't work, then I'll have to go and get a job again. And do you know what? It never even crossed my mind. I'd never work for someone ever again. I think once you know what skills you have, and if you've got skills, like I started businesses and stuff, and I like tax business. I know nothing about tax. I just saw an opportunity. I literally know nothing. Well, I know, what I say, nothing. I know a little bit, I know a lot now, but at the time I know the basics about tax, right? Like, employment tax, business tax, your VAT, all this kind of stuff. But I knew nothing really about claiming back travel tax from HMRC and how that works. And I just basically went out and found out how to do it, hired a team, put some people in place that knew how to do it, and then built it out from there. And then now we've got a team here of sales. We've got a team in India that basically do a lot of the legwork, speaking to HMRC, going through statements, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And it's, it's flourishing, and it's going to continue to grow this year. And now we're looking at how, so we're moving into the tech space with it. So we're creating it into an app. So we'll be kind of like fintech. So it'll be very simple for people to use, to basically file their tax returns. It'll be like a one-stop shop. And how we want to create a brand that's basically the tax brand for the individual rather than the business.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of there's obviously a lot of businesses that help businesses do their tax, but there's a lot of individuals that just need to do tax, whether it's tax returns, tax reclaims, marital tax, all of this stuff. And that's what we want to be. The name's Tax Buddy, because it's like a very friendly, open, honest, easy to use, one-stop shop to people that don't really know too much about the tax.
Yeah,
tax for the average person. I love it.
Exactly. And you know what? It's a nice business because we've genuinely, we're not selling something to them which is they cost them. We're getting them a refund basically, and our reviews that we've had come in recently are so fantastic. These are daily reviews, so many, and my sales tax agents are basically ringing their customers, say, right, your tax rebates come in, and you've got people honestly crying down the phone because people got quite hardship, like they've had maybe kind of they're overdue on their credit cards and things like that, and we're actually getting them a rebate that, for one, a lot of these people didn't even know they were entitled to. Because as you can imagine, HMRC don't really make too much noise about it, because every single year in this space alone, unconfirmed figure, but in the regions, 200 million is kept by HMRC.
That's incredible.
So and if you can claim the last 4 years. If the 4 year lapses, you can't get it.
I think also what you're providing to society as a whole is an education as well.
Yeah.
Because it's massively lacked, let's face it, in the current educational system. You come out of school not knowing anything about tax.
Nothing. Do you know what? When I come out of school, when I come out of university, I was probably in about, so I had a student loan which was, I don't know, maybe £25,000-30,000, but I was also in about £15,000 worth of debt within credit cards and overdrafts. And I tell you why. The school system teaches you absolutely nothing about getting yourself into debt and how to manage it.
I completely empathise.
And the banks will give you credit line when you're 18, when you've got nothing, you've got no reason to have credit line, but they'll give it to you. And this is a huge contributor to mental health as well, because we're not educated earlier on. We get ourselves into some trouble. Then you've got your creditors chasing you for their money. You can't afford to pay it with your bills on top of that. And it's like, it's a kind of vicious circle. So I actually wanted to be a teacher, but not a teacher of kind of your standard education, English, maths, science. I wanted to be a teacher which was kind of like what you call a kind of life teacher. Mm-hmm. And it's something I still want to do. Like go back into schools and actually talk to them about relevant things. How do you write a because the other thing is, most people at school, the majority, aren't the academic type that's going to go to university. They're going to go and do other stuff. So at least teach them some core skills that's relevant for what they're going to do, whether it's trades or whether it's how to manage just writing a CV, how to go and get a job, they do some small elements in some schools, but it's so minor. They need to, there probably needs to be a look at the school and think, okay, these kids could really benefit from this kind of thing, put them forward for it. And it's something I'm really passionate about, and I will get into doing more of that kind of thing.
You should do your own podcast.
Should do my own podcast.
That's what you should do.
We're talking.
Get it on YouTube.
We've just moved into a new office actually, and we've created our own. We've got like a sort of mezzanine section at the top, and we've created it into like a podcast studio where we can do filming and things like that. But it's just in the process of being. So we'll get you in there. We'll come into our one.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. See how it's done.
Yeah. No, but this is lovely. So, but that'll be coming soon.
That's awesome. So my actual next question to you was going to be future plans, but you've kind of
I mean future. I mean we've got a few other things in the process. So we want to get this tax business fully established. We want to get the app working, things like that. Then we are the recruitment side of things. We're currently heavily working in the American market. Big fees, no notice periods, like what more do you want really? I mean, for us it's utopia, so we're doing a lot of work over there at the moment. And then we're also, again, looking at a new company, which is a payroll company. We own a recruitment business, we own a tax business, we've got people. So we'll do a payroll company. So if someone's a contractor, we can payroll them. If someone's working for firms, we can do their payroll for them. And we've got that all set up. The business plan's been written. We've got the team that's going to do it. We've got all our costings down to how much it will cost per payroll. But we're just giving it a month or 2 months to carry on because we've had quick growth with the tax business. We've had a lot of new people. So we just want to get that bedded in, get everything rolled out before we sort of move a little bit of focus over to that.
Okay.
But it all kind of goes hand in hand, that recruitment, tax, payroll, it all works. And then we'll send them all for their skincare at the clinic.
As an added benefit scheme.
Yeah,
no, I love that.
That's on our staff benefits now, though, skincare treatment. So
why not? I'm a big fan of sympathetic businesses. Actually, I think it's a really strong model.
Yeah, I think so. So, but yeah, we've got some good perks there.
What do you think is going to be like the biggest challenges this year? Obviously, we've had so many challenges over the last couple of years, especially with COVID and all the rest of it. And you mentioned some of them as well. Yeah. Like, what do you foresee kind of being probably one of the biggest challenges for this year?
Well, I mean, we're seeing it at the moment. The biggest challenge for the average person is, we've seen it's all over the news at the moment. It's like the prices of oil and your gas, your electricity has gone through the roof. And then I think Rishi Sunak was given I think it was like was it £200 extra or something? But people were like $1,000 worse off or $2,000 worse off. Yeah. I think for the average person, that is going to have a big effect because most people, their money disappears every single month and they don't have an extra £150 a month to kind of focus on that stuff. And then increased taxes as well to claw back some of the expenditure through COVID. So yeah, I feel like we're in for a difficult period, to be honest. I think that we really are. It's going to be
very difficult for some people. Some businesses will struggle as well. So, I mean, I've just got to be fortunate that we're in a good position, and but we've worked hard for that. But there is a lot of people that you need to bear in mind that they are going to be struggling. So
yeah. And for those viewers and listeners at home that are potentially thinking about starting their own business, and obviously knowing all these challenges, what advice would you give to them?
My advice would always be go and do it, 100%. And I'll tell you why. I mean, even with all these challenges, you've seen businesses that started in the 2008 crash that are absolutely thrived, right? You've just got to look at the situation that you're in and think, is that business going to thrive at the moment? And if it is, and you can see an opportunity, you can see a niche, you're passionate about it. And I always said that people ask me a lot of time, like, when should I start a business? And I'm always, my background was I learnt my industry and then I started a business in my industry.
Yeah.
So I classed myself as like an expert in what I went to start. Yeah. And I think that it doesn't always work in that way. Some people get quite lucky with things as well, fall into it. But with me and with other people, you're kind of always set for a better chance if you know your industry that you're going into. You're already connected, you know what you're going to be selling, you know what your product is. I think that's always a good basis to start with. So if anyone's in a job at the moment, they think, right, I could do this job.
Yep.
I know that I could carve out a niche doing this. Go and try it. I mean, you're already doing it at the moment, and you're already earning your current company money. So I say that now. I got all my salespeople are going to be literally gone tomorrow, aren't they? But it's true. I mean, I've had people that work for my recruitment business, good recruiters, passionate about starting their own business, and rather than cast them out and be like, you're gone, I helped them start their own business because it swings in roundabouts, and
Absolutely.
You've got there's plenty out there. There's plenty out, and I'd rather say to someone like, look, I'm going to help you start your business. These are our clients, obviously, but we'll help you go and start your own business. Plenty out there. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong.
Abundance
who am I
mindset.
to stop someone who's entrepreneurial? That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abundance mindset. I love it. That's 100%.
It's really important, and it's the same thing that we do as well, is we work on people's plans, goals. We want to know what they want to do in the next few years.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, it might be that we don't have an opportunity left for them in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And actually, if we're open and honest about that conversation and we can say, in 3 years' time, this is what you want to do, well, we can work on their plan so that they can get to that stage and then kind of free them and let them go off and do it. It's like you say, abundance is there.
And the thing is, they would have done so much good work for you over them few years as well. I mean, you're always probably at some point, you have your life as it will stay there for a long, long time, but people are going to move. I'm working in recruitment. People move every 3-4 years. But if people are there for 3-4 years and do a fantastic job for you and all that, then they're brilliant. Do you know what I mean? But you're sad to see them leave. But, I've worked for companies before where you could be there for 5 years or 10 years, and the moment you say you're leaving, they hate you. You're like an outcast.
Doors are closed.
That's an awful way to do business. Awful. I spoke to a few guys I used to work with that have been in my previous company for 10 years, and then they said they were leaving, and they didn't even get, after 10 years, and I'm talking, they've earned them millions of pounds after 10 years, and they didn't even get as much as a thank you. It's a disgrace.
Insane.
So that's why I was very keen that if that ever happened to me and people showed motivation to go and do other things, who am I to hold them back?
100%.
Yeah, if I can create them, if they're just leaving because they're unhappy with something, I'll try my best to rectify that, provide an opportunity. But if they're genuinely leaving to go and do something that they're really passionate about and I can't provide that, then go and do it.
That's amazing and very inspirational, so thank you for that. One of the things I wanted to ask is we touched on education, and I kind of wanted to go back to that because I wanted to find out your thoughts on the educational system currently. Do you feel like it's letting down?
I think it's awful.
Yeah.
I think it's awful. I think the education system today, and has been for a while, is aimed basically at academics, people that they're teaching kids to go on to do college, university, which is great for the people that want to do that and are in that position to do it. But a lot of people aren't academic. They might be very good with skills, trades, going into something else. And the school system just don't put you've got people they lose interest in school and they end up going out on their social side and being a naughty person, right? Yeah. Because the school isn't keeping them interested. They're not finding out, okay, what's this person? And it's like a school's like a one fits all. And, for some people that's all right. It didn't do me bad. But I know a lot of people that have luckily pulled their life back on track, but from the years of 16 to 22 was off the rails, and that's just because the school never ever prepared them to go and do what they were wanted to do or capable of doing. Now I've seen them, they've come back and they're running businesses in whether it's construction, building, plumbing, whatever else it is, and they're very successful. But the school system, just literally, it's all about getting their marks for Ofsted. Like, okay, what grants are they getting this year because they're, a high school? It's just...
What do you think needs to change to kind of...
Well, I also think things like some of the things that you're taught are just irrelevant. I mean,
Absolutely.
let's bring in and make it instilled from a young age how to operate in life, like how to get credit cards, bank cards, mortgages, how to prepare yourself for that. I don't understand how that's not the most important thing. Yeah, we need to read and write, and let's do some maths in there as well. But then after that, there's plenty of subjects I'd say scrap, and then bring in one of those, put some budget for that aside. And I'll get people here who think there'll be a lot of people that agree with this, and then you get some people who think no, and that's fair enough. But it does need to be reformed. It's an old system, and some people as well, they would be much more better in an applied situation than writing things down. So we teach people to remember stuff from a book and write it down. But what does that mean? That doesn't mean they're any better than anyone else. Some of the most successful people, in fact, the most successful people I know didn't go through that school system or didn't get good grades. They were people that were just very good at doing stuff, getting stuff done, business-minded, and not good at writing down from a science book around chemistry or biology. And I just think that they need to pick up early on which way people are going to go.
And do you think that mindset is learned, or are you born with that?
I think that it's kind of a bit of both, because depends what kind of upbringing you've had as well. Because if you come from quite an academic family, whether they're lawyers, doctors, parents, you're probably going to go down that route, right? If you come from a family that's building or something more manual labour, you're more likely to probably be that kind of route as well. So I do think it's kind of that upbringing, because you could take someone and put one person in one family, and the same person in another family, and that person could be two different people, right? In terms of, they can. I think everyone's kind of capable.
Do you also think what's even more interesting now with the whole NFT, crypto, and all the and massive kind of interest in coding and gaming, that's kind of just gone through the roof, and I would say Gen Zs and younger are starting to realise they can make money without going down the traditional route. Do you think it's going to make schools completely redundant?
Well, you've seen it. We've got kids selling cartoon characters, haven't you?
Yeah.
So and then literally retiring. We're in a. Do you know what? We're in an era now where all of our sort of children are coming up with tech, and they all know what's going on. So you've got kids starting young, YouTube channels. You've got 8-year-old kids earning £30 million a year from YouTube. So it's, whereas people wanted before to be a lawyer or a doctor, people want to be YouTubers. My niece wants to be a YouTuber. She literally does. And the amount of people that are YouTubers, influencers now, and they are earning more than our lawyers and doctors, right? If you get to the top of it. So I do think it's kind of one of the things that you have to manage as well, because, everyone can't be a YouTuber. No, because then I guess there'll be no one left to watch everyone's YouTube, will there?
And it's not that easy as well. I always thought, it's got to be quite easy to do. I've got two of my mates that are YouTubers, TGF, and they're absolutely smashing it. But it's a lot of work.
Yeah, of course. Content every day.
The graft is insane.
Content every single day. Yeah. A guy that worked for me, he came in, so basically he wanted to go and be a dentist, but his dad was actually a contractor through me, and his dad said he wants to be a dentist, but he needs just a little bit of he hadn't had so much social side of things. So he said, do you have any sort of just like trainee recruitment jobs going? So we brought him in for a year. He worked with us, speaking to candidates, really come out of his shell, then went to dentistry school. But while he's been there, he's built up an Instagram following. So in a space of 8 months, he's gone from 0 to 250,000 followers on Instagram. His content's huge. So he does dentistry stuff, fitness, and healthy foods. But his whole body's transformed. He's in great shape. And I think like someone like that, that's amazing. Like the kind of content that you've created, and it's hard work. He's creating content every single day. Like, to be that, to dentistry school. So, it's only the people that are most committed to that and probably quite creative will be the people that will succeed in that industry.
Absolutely.
You've seen the guy as well. You must have seen him. The KB Lame. Have you seen him?
Oh, yeah.
This one, right? He's never said a word. The guy's got, 150 million TikTok followers, 70 million on Instagram, and now he's the face of Hugo Boss. That's just like...
I think Gary Vee's been saying it for such a long time. He's the first person to say it. Content. Yeah.
So especially in the tax business, we do content every single day. All the staff do it because people are messaging all the time now, asking, "Can you check mine? Can you check mine? Can you check mine? Can you check mine?" And it's all about content. Like literally, if you produce content, whether it's right now or whether it's in 3 months' time, if that person's seen your content, continues to see your content, the first thought when that what your service comes to mind, they'll call you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, sorry.
I was going to say, just taking it back onto school for a second, if you don't mind. So, if we could invent teleportation, and you could go back and quickly give your younger self a nudge, what advice would you give yourself?
See, this is the thing, right? If you ask me, if my own kid, right, was at school, then I would teach him all the stuff about the kind of credit cards, mortgages, life lessons. But if you ask me, I kind of wouldn't teach myself it because I would worry that if I did, where would I be now and what would I be doing? Because all of those kind of lessons, like learning the hard way sort of shapes you who you are today.
Yeah.
So that's why for me personally, I'm like, my life was set out and that's the way I was supposed to go with it. And I think specifically that actually motivated me for when I come out of uni, rather than going into a graduate scheme, I decided I needed to go into sales because I needed to earn a lot of more money than a graduate scheme pretty quickly to pay off my debt. And if I didn't, I probably would have gone into a grad scheme. So I think for me, I probably wouldn't really tell myself that because I just would be concerned I'd change my career path and I don't know where I'd be. But if anyone who I know, God, I'd teach them straight away.
And the other thing you mentioned as well, you talked about having no fear in business, and that's really interesting. So you've got no fear in business. That's incredible. How do you then balance that with not being impulsive?
Yeah, do you know what? I'll tell you how I balance it because I've got 2 other business partners that aren't like me. So I am probably I am impulsive. I come up with ideas and I'll run with them. As soon as I think I've got an idea, I'll run with it pretty quickly, which is in some cases great. In other cases, too impulsive, you can make some wrong decisions.
Yeah.
But then I've got some, like your yin and your yang. So I've got some people there that think, actually, hold on fire a second, just look at this side of things. So I think you need to surround yourself with some good people and get people that can tell you straight. Yeah. And I'm a difficult person to tell straight, to be honest. Not because I feel like, not because I'm stuck in my ways, because I will listen, but I feel like I'll get very excited about certain things, and then to try and sort of set me down a bit is probably a bit more difficult.
But it's great that you've got yourself into a position where you've got people that you trust around you to ground you back.
It's one of the biggest things in business, trust. People say higher skills, but trust is the biggest one for me. Coming from what I've been and done, trust every single time. I'll teach the skills, but trust I can't teach. Can't teach them to be loyal to you. There's been times where, we've stuck together on some difficult times, and you just can't teach that. You can't buy loyalty.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I'm a big firm believer in you hire for attitude, you don't hire for skills.
No, that's
because I know better than anyone that you can teach skills, and you've just touched on that as well. So it's all about the attitude.
I'll give you a real success story. So we hired
me and the two directors was in the casino about 7 months ago, and it was about 11 o'clock at night, and there was a kid there. He was 19 or 20 at the time. I think he was 20. Called Sean, works with me now, and he said to me, come up to us, and he said, "What do you three do?" And we said, "Oh, we run a recruitment business and a tax business. Can I work with you?" And we were like, "Well, what do you do?" He said, "I work on a building site, but I don't want to do it. I'm better than this. I know that I've just kind of been dealt a bit of a hard card. I'm a proper grafter. I've done this for 4 years since I was 16, but I just want to get out of it." And I said to him, "Take my number, give me a call tomorrow." So he called me in the morning and he goes, "Can I come down and see you?" I said, "When do you want to come?" He said, "I'll come now." And it was his birthday as well. Bear in mind, it was literally his 21st birthday. So he come down to my office that day and he said to me, he goes, like, "Look, he had no skills for it. Literally, I'm not gonna lie, he had no skills for it. He was unpolished, right?
Yeah.
You know, he was a bit like, effing this and that."
Yeah.
But I saw someone, he had a really hard upbringing, but it didn't stop him. You know, he was a grafter. And I said to him, we'll give him a shot. I think we can shape him. Now, fast forward 6 months or 7 months. So he is up for Apprentice of the Year tomorrow. And in January, he's my top performer as well. I'm taking him to Purnell's on Friday. And in January, he generated £50,000 worth of revenue or gross profit margin to our business. In February, he'll do the same, if not more. I mean, and the kids, and now he's earning 50, 60 grand a year. He's only 21.
That's
amazing. So and in such a short space of time as well.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, you can. Attitude's the main thing.
He's done well.
Yeah,
He's done really well.
honestly, he's just a joy to work with. He's a proper real pleasure, and he's just so motivated, so driven. He's just, clients love him. He's getting so many referrals, which is the best way to be. Just constantly, his phone's ringing. But that's more. It's just because he's so positive and also good at what he does now.
Yeah.
But that's a real success story. I mean, in my whole time in business. And even in employment where I was a manager before, in 6 months, that's my biggest success story. My biggest success story, like taking someone from nothing, not that industry at all, and then seeing how successful that person's become. I mean, I always said before I was in it for money, the business, but as you start to have money and a business, you're in it more for all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Like, the money just comes, right? It just comes in. But all those like success stories, or when he comes to me and says like, "Look, I've just done this," or then my other team member comes to me and says, "Look what I've just been able to buy," or "Look what I'm doing." That's the great things, right? That really is the great things.
And do you think anyone can do that? As in anyone can take that change story and go from one thing to another?
What, as in the individual? So
yes,
him? Yeah. Do you know what? I've seen so many people, and I'm going to say no. And the reason I'm going to say no is because so many people are stuck in their ways and like just feel like the world's against them. I tell you what, our graduates, they're used to. I personally, I'm not saying I avoid graduates, but I prefer to hire non-graduates. And the reason being, graduates just think they're owed something.
Mm-hmm.
Think, I've got a degree, I should be earning 30, 40 grand a year, 9 till 5, get lost. That's not what I was doing. I was a graduate. I was grafting my arse off. And, I was still earning no money at the start, and you just graft. And I feel like people these day and age just do not realise they're born, don't realise the opportunity they've got at hand. Moaners, it's like what Piers Morgan says it, doesn't he? What they call them, snowflakes. Yeah, snowflake. We've got loads of those.
Element of entitlement.
Yeah, entitlement.
Yeah.
Entitlement. I didn't get anything.
It's a generational thing.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, so we when we're hiring, we try to look for all the other stuff other than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I feel like you answer your question. If they change their mindset and those kind of what I would say negative traits dropped away, then probably yes, people can do it. But it is one of them. It's entitlement.
So if they came with the right attitude, you're confident that you could turn them into a killer?
If they come in with the right attitude, we will turn them into a killer. Like literally every single person in my business is profitable. There's no we don't have underperformers. Everyone's profitable, and that's because we've trained them really well and we've hired the right people.
Yeah. Yeah, and giving them the chance.
Yeah, and giving them the chance. Yeah, exactly, giving them the chance. I hired a girl from Burger King, right? Literally, she didn't go to university, was working at Burger King. We hired her. She's now like one of our biggest account managers, similar to Sean, managing a lot of clients, a lot of big tax bills, and she had no. I mean, she's a bright girl, but she had no skills yet.
Yeah.
So we brought her in, and we've taught her the skills, and she's out there, doing some really great things.
That's amazing.
So
I'm going to ask you now, what do you like to do in your spare time when you're not well? Do you ever have any spare time?
Find a bit. I've just been to Dubai, haven't I? So
Yeah.
Had a little bit. It's it's the first time actually I've been able to take a 2-week holiday. Honestly, I swear I'm not even joking here, but 2-week holiday and I've actually felt calm. Like I felt calm because I know that things are just kind of running well. Yeah, literally, and it's been very nice. But outside of that, what do I like to do? I'm very sociable. I like restaurants. That's where we met.
Yeah.
We did, didn't we?
Yeah,
Adams, that's where we met. Like trying out new things, experiences. I've got dogs. I like getting out and about with those.
Nice.
I like football, going to the football, just pretty normal stuff, really.
Favourite football team?
Chelsea, but I also go to Villa quite a lot because
Nice.
local. I've got a few friends that go there, so go with them. But I follow pretty much most football leagues. Overall, I'm a big football fanatic.
Sweet.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm also a Villa fan,
Yeah,
so
there
for my
we are.
sins. So yeah,
All right, come on, let's go Villa then.
it's a date.
Yeah, I'm in. Then we'll get some food after.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah. For me, it's a team that I have to support because I've got a family member that used to play for them, so it's Arsenal.
Arsenal.
So it's
okay.
one of those where I have to support them.
When did they play for them?
So I don't really want to give too much away because I know this is going out, but I would say they played for Arsenal and then they went to play for West Ham.
Okay.
That's as much as I'm going to say.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I go back onto The Apprentice for a sec? Because I feel like I've got a question that I'm dying to ask.
Go on.
Do you think that if you hadn't have gone through that process, do you think you'd be sitting here today, not necessarily chatting to us, but do you think you'd be in the same sort of position?
Yeah, I do. I'd already left my business in terms of the company I was employed by. I'd already set my business up. It was like infant stage, but I'd already made that move. So whether or not I went on The Apprentice or not, I was going to go out and do it. And I do feel like it was so basically post business partner with Lord Sugar. That's what I personally felt I flourished because I felt like the handcuffs were slightly off.
Yeah.
And my true personality came through, and when I'm at ease and happy, and I feel like I'm flourishing, that's when I'll have my best successes, and the company will go strength to strength. When I feel like I've got some shackles on, I'm sort of tied back, restricted, kind of answering to someone else, then it kind of kills my mood a little bit. And I've seen that you can go through a bit of a bad patch. So I feel like I would have done that anyway, and maybe it's hard to say what it would have been like, but either way, that going on The Apprentice or not, I was already making that move.
So what I'm getting from you is that it was the attitude that was right, and actually it was inevitable that you were going to do something like this.
Yeah. And do you know what? Even when I won The Apprentice, as honest truth, right, I nearly didn't take the investment. So, because what happens is you win, and then you're obviously going through, so I won in December, but then you've then got about 4 weeks or so where you're going through, like, you got to agree your contracts, all that kind of stuff. You kind of know the deal. The deal's 250 grand for 50%.
Yeah.
But I hadn't accepted anything at that point. Like, I hadn't essentially signed anything. And I've sat there and had some real long, hard conversations with myself and others thinking, like, do we want to do this? Or do we just want to sort of, we've already won.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks we've won. We don't need to, and I kind of decided that, we went with it. And again, I wouldn't change it now. But I do think back, like, it did restrict me. And I feel like it restricted me at that point, and I'm not someone who deals well with being restricted. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you think it opened any doors as well?
It did, but so it did open doors from winning The Apprentice. Yeah, but that wasn't just like them doors would have opened if I'd taken the investment or not, because I'd won The Apprentice at that point.
Yeah.
So
Lord Sugar did try, and he did give some good introductions, but some of his introductions were, let's say, out of touch with recruitment, like Richard Branson. So he emails Richard Branson, introduced me to him. Obviously, he's not really involved in recruitment. So we get a nice email back, but it's kind of like polite lip service. So you got meetings with stuff, but not everything that he introduced you to come to something. Some of it did, So, but yeah, I have to say, like, Lord Sugar does support his businesses, right? He wants them to do well. He wants you to do well. But he wants you focused on that business.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, yeah. Have you got any other questions, Matt?
I think we could talk for another 2 or 3 hours, but I'm just conscious of our listeners, actually.
I am as well.
Sorry, guys.
I don't even know how long it's been. I've literally no idea.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good sign, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been obviously amazing having you on the show, James.
No, thank you.
Hopefully we can do this again.
Yeah,
it'd be awesome to have you on the show again at some point.
Yeah, catch up maybe in a year or so, or you can come on my one.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So hopefully we all have a successful year, and all the viewers.
Yeah.
I get the feeling you're going to, James.
Yeah, fingers crossed though.
Yeah, definitely. Smashing it, mate. So that's it for today's episode. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, you can now find us on all streaming platforms, including Apple Podcast and Spotify. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.